Get your bingo cards, everyone, because we're playing Rwby Volume 9 Prediction Bingo. Let's do this. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I am Black Omen, and we're days away from Rwby Volume 9, which is a sentence I never thought I would actually say. Anyway, before the new season begins, I kind of want to put out my last-minute predictions as to what I think is going to happen. I made a makeshift bingo card here, which I'm going to have up on the screen here. So we're just going to go down the line and basically discuss why I think this is going to happen and kind of my rationale for it, and I'm just going to tell you what it says. So we're just going to go down the line and talk about it. So starting with Salem finishes regrouping words. Now, if you remember from Volume 8, we saw Salem basically like more or less explode from the explosion. She was very explodey. You know, all those little smoky ashes of her starting to come together a little bit at a time. But yes, so I think we're going to see Salem finishing the process of coming back together and regenerating. But yeah, and then she's going to be rather upset as to when she figures out and learns what happened. So yeah, going down the line, Summer Rose and Team Stark info. I don't really expect to kind of see or hear any sort of like more backstory per se about Team Stark or Summer Rose, but I'm kind of hoping that we get another glimpse into what happened or any kind of info. I'm not expecting like a huge backstory, some sort of anything, just maybe a little drop of information, you know, maybe something minuscule, I don't know. I figured I'd just put that out there as a possibility. Next up, Ironwood survives. Well, we all know the rule when it comes to that. If there's no body, there's no death. Now, even though we saw Atlas, you know, falling down and all the waters and everything just engulfing everything, you know, it leads to the idea that Ironwood did not make it through that. However, there's a small, tiny chance that he may have found an escape route or something that kept him living. I don't know. I think there was. I don't know if he's going to really hold any sort of relevance to the future, but he was a character that a lot of people liked because he was such a badass. I mean, come on, dude. Like, it's fucking Ironwood. Moving on. Crow, Robin, and the Aesops versus Tyrion to avenge Clover and Vine. Well, that is kind of something that's more or less inevitable. However, I think the timing of that may not be lining up right away. Because of the fact that, you know, you saw Tyrion and Mercury left for Vacuo early on in the season. Saw Tyrion and Mercury leave for Vacuo early in Volume 8. So I don't really think that like they're going to be meeting up with Crow, Robin, and the Aesops, right away. It's going to have to, because I feel like they are much closer and further down the road, so to speak, closer to Vacuo than Crow, Robin, and everything else. But as a little side note, I kind of I should have mentioned this as one of the things, but whatever. Being that Crow witnesses what happens, and he doesn't hear from Rwby, and he doesn't know what happened to them. I do have a feeling that he's going to either A, have to go to Tai Yang and tell him what happened, or B, he's going to communicate with him and tell him what happened. That is just something that's a possibility. I don't think that having Crow see what happened, I don't think he's going to be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't tell Tai Yang what happened, because it's his one of his closest friends and his teammate on Team Stark. So I imagine he's going to have to tell them what happened to his daughters, what he thinks happens anyway. But anyway, yeah, I think that there's going to be inevitably some sort of a revengeful rematch, not a rematch, but like a fight that's going to be like to get like revenge on what they did. Moving on. Jean gets a new weapon / refurbished sword. Okay. His sword broke during that whole scene when, you know, fighting Cinder and Neo. I kind of feel like, being that his sword is broken now, I feel like he's going to need either an upgrade, where he's going to get his sword refurbished, basically down in the ever after, if you want to call it, or he's going to get a completely new weapon altogether, which I think the sword does in fact suit him, but it would be cool to have him get some kind of a sword and, you know, / gun or something, you know, a projectile. It would be kind of awesome, because I think getting a new haircut, getting a new hairdo, getting a new weapon, it all works out, you know? Next up, we have Salem find out about Cinder's lies. This one, I think, is probably one of the more obvious things that are going to happen. I think that Salem is probably going to find out that, you know, Cinder basically lied to her and was like, you know, and find out that she went and got the relics, and she's not going to bring them to her, which is the initial plan is for Salem to have all the relics, but Cinder's going to keep them for herself, because that is who she is. Next up, we got Team Rwby finds Penny's body, which I kind of don't want this to happen, but this is, depending on where this may go, whether it be they find it by accident or they want to try to find her or something. I really hope they don't find her body, which would be rather upsetting for Rwby especially. It's a possibility of something that I think may happen. Next up, we got the Summer Maiden revealed. Being that we know who the Winter Maiden is, we know who the Fall Maiden is, we know who the Spring Maiden is. Why not tell us who the Summer Maiden is, right? I mean, come on. They're going to be going to Vacuo, and hopefully they aren't just trapped in the whole desert area of Vacuo. I really hope I'm hoping that the Summer Maiden isn't someone who, like, we've met before, so it's not like it's a big reveal of, like, oh, that character. I hope it's someone that we don't know yet, you know, someone we've never met yet. Possibly this person might already be in Vacuo already. Who knows? Next up, we got a new Grimm. It's a new area, new season. I mean, come on. Why not give us a new Grimm? Because when we saw towards the end of the season, when everyone was in Vacuo, we saw all these bat creatures. I forget what they're called. But yeah, I don't, because a lot of us are rather familiar with that kind of Grimm from playing Amity Arena, if you guys remember. So I think it would be kind of cool to kind of get a new Grimm introduced to us. So that would be kind of really, really cool. I mean, especially, as I said, we're in a new place. A new town, new relics. Why not give us a new Grim, you know? Next up, we have Neo find out that Rwby didn't kill Roman. That is kind of like Neo's whole drive for the past, like, 2-3 seasons. She kind of, like, wants to take out her revenge on who killed Roman. And being that we kind of know that she thinks that it was Rwby because Rwby was the last one to be with her. But she doesn't really know that it was, in fact, that it was a giant Nevermore that just ate him whole, you know? But yeah, I kind of do think that there's going to be some kind of an altercation, and Ruby's going to be like, Neo, it wasn't me. I didn't kill Roman. And she's probably going to be, at first, kind of be like, not buy it. But then she's going to be like, listen to me. I didn't kill Roman. And you know, kind of just try to kind of reassure her into that whole, like, that whole mentality. Because I think, as much as they don't like the idea, I think they're going to have to need Neo to get out of where the Ever After place is, and also the fact that they're going to have to use her to get to Cinder, because she knows Cinder better than the others, you know. Next up, we have Meanwhile at Vacuo, which, when I put that, I kind of felt like it's a, I kind of feel like this next season is going to do a lot of jumping back and forth. There's going to be, I think, there's going to be a lot of, like, half split episodes, you know, like kind of like we did in season 4 and 5, where there's like a half of the episode here, half of the episode here, and there's going to just bounce back and forth between it. You know, it's going to be like half the episode is going to be down in the Ever After, and the other half is going to be in Vacuo, or it's going to be an episode in Vacuo, or an episode in here. It's going to be, I don't know what the format's going to be like, but I have a feeling that it's going to be split up into, like, half the episode is going to be in Vacuo, half is going to be down in where Team Rwby is, you know? Beach episode? I don't think so, but you know fan service, and fan service craves the beach episode, because there's water, there's sand, there's sun, but it's going to be like everyone wants to be like, oh my god, I want to see them, like, at the beach, you know, have it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I put it there because I know a lot of people want it. And you know what, I kind of was a little hesitant, but I'm like, you know what, in the off chance that it does happen, it's going to be like, well, I can't be surprised that it does happen. Like, it's one of those things that you kind of put in the back of your mind, where it's like, okay, I don't really think this is going to happen, but in the off chance it does, bring it on, you know? Free space, of course. Maria and Pietro survive. Again, along with the same theory of Ironwood, but I have a better feeling about Pietro and Maria surviving, because the last time we saw them was when the maiden fight was happening, and, like, she was, Maria was fighting Neo, and I have a feeling that Pietro and Maria might be still alive. Better chance of them alive than Ironwood right now, but that's just my opinion. Next up, we have possible Mercury redemption arc. Well, I was never really that big of a fan of Mercury to begin with, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. I'm going to mention later on about him in Emerald, but basically, there's a possibility that Mercury might get a chance to redeem himself and do something good, and maybe betray Tyrion, or help out the many people who have arrived through the gateway portal thing. Who knows? You know, there's endless possibilities. Next up, we have a heroic sacrifice. I mean, there was already a heroic sacrifice in the last volume from Penny, and I think by the end of Volume 9 that there's going to be some kind of a dramatic maneuver or some kind of a drastic last minute, like 5 seconds on the clock kind of a thing, where someone's going to do something that is going to ultimately cause them to die, or at the very least be severely injured, but in a way that's going to help the heroes. I don't know who. That's why I kept it vague. And as I was talking about, Emerald versus Mercury 2, as we saw back in Volume 6, they were kind of having a little back and forth. They were kind of like getting at each other, and because I guess the way Emerald was feeling, and Mercury was like, well, what the hell's wrong with you? And they kind of started to have a little bit of started fighting a little bit, which was broken up. But I think when Mercury finds out that Emerald worked with Team Rwby and company, he's going to get a little pissed about that and call her a traitor, and they're going to have a round 2, so to speak. But that's just my opinion. Next up, we have characters from the novels make an appearance. This one I kind of kept a little bit more vague, because like there's characters like Carmine or Theodore from who's the headmaster at with the Shade, I think, Shade Academy, and even, dare I say, well, I'll get to the next one, but some of the characters from the After the Fall, Before the Dawn, I kind of feel like they might make an appearance. I'm not sure who or in what capacity. Could be in passing. Could be like a flashy backy thing that someone's telling them about. Because like the novels are canon, but like Team Rwby was never there at the same time as them. So it could be like someone saying something in passing, Next up, the appearance of Team Coffee, which is kind of going along with the same aspect of what I was just talking about, where possibly Team Coffee could make an appearance. In what capacity, I'm not sure, because we haven't seen Team Coffee since Volume 3, and goddamn, I miss it. I mean, in Volume 8, we saw Sun and Sun and Neptune in that brief glimpse that we saw, and that would be kind of cool to kind of see them maybe in passing or just mentioned, because whether or not how things go in order in terms of chronological. Someone could make a comment or say something about Team Coffee or something. That would be kind of cool. Next up, we got the heroes get the Sword of Destruction before Cinder. The heroes seem to have a track record of acquiring the relics before Cinder does, which is kind of is starting to become a little tropey. It's becoming a little tropey at this point because of the fact that the relic of knowledge, they got before Cinder, and then they got the second relic, and then there's a good chance if they're gonna follow the same pattern, they're gonna get the Sword of Destruction before Cinder does, and then it's going to lead to Cinder being like, I want it, and then it's she's gonna try to find a way to acquire it. Which, to be quite honest, I don't think Cinder is going to be successful at acquiring it. I think something's going to go wrong. Maybe Neo's going to just do something. Who knows? But I don't think she's going to be successful this time around. Next up, we have Oscar's semblance is unlocked. We don't really know what his semblance is. It hasn't been unlocked. He's been kind of pretty good fighting-wise, I guess. I mean, does he really need a semblance when he has Ozpin inside of him? Really? Does he really need it? I don't know. And that's my thing. Like, Oscar doesn't have a semblance, but he has, like, probably one of the greatest magic-y, the OG Ozma, inside of his body. And being that he is, like, he can control him, and he's getting better with being, like, rather than fighting it, it's more of like a passively, like, okay, I'm going to let him control now, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, like, I think Oscar may have a semblance that is going to be unlocked for him. Who knows? I don't know what it's going to be, but I think that would be really cool to actually get it revealed finally after, like, since volume 4 of seeing him, Next up we have Professor Theodore doesn't betray Ozpin. Being that Leo Lionheart, from Mistral, did in fact turn his back on Ozpin, mainly because he didn't want to die, but he ended up dying anyway. So he was damned if he did, and he was damned if he didn't. So, so I don't think Professor Theodore is going to be an asshole, much like Leo Lionheart was. But yeah, so that's what I think. Next up, I put the tree holds bigger meaning than we expected. Again, I put another vague one because I think that the tree, the mighty tree, the tree of life, whatever you want to call it, is going to hold a much bigger meaning and a larger significance than we know right now. I don't know to what capacity per se, but I just have a slight suspicion, a slight hunch, that the tree is going to be like a bigger, much more grand significance, especially being that it is like basically a central hub or something in the terms of the ever after, I guess, and you do see it when they're all down there. It's far away into the background, it to me it just screams out, there's a big meaning to this, anyway. Jean tells Team Rwby about Penny. This one I feel like is going to happen. Better chance of this happening than Team Rwby finding Penny's body, which thankfully I don't think that one's going to happen, but I think this one will. Sean's going to be down there, and they're going to, someone's going to say something about Penny, or like Sean's going to be like, yeah, about Penny, and like, it's going to be mentioned that technically Jean was the one who killed Penny because she wanted him to. That was the whole plan. It was like Penny's going to give up her maiden powers so that way Winter can have it. But yeah, and then I think that's going to maybe upset Rwby, and then she may, one of two things. I don't think she's going to yell at Jean or get like violent with him, but she's going to like be upset over it, and it's not going to be pretty. And I'm not I'm not at all looking forward to that if it happens. Because God help me, I don't like seeing Rwby upset. And last but not least, Raven returns! Man, I'm so glad I was not the only one who thought this. But when Robin and Crow were in jail and they had that explosion that kind of set them free out of the jail, and then you see the bird at the end of where the wall opened. I'm so glad I was not the only one who thought that was Raven. I honest to God thought that was Raven, and apparently a lot of people did. Because what is your first thought when you see them two in jail? Boom, explosion. Shut up. Boom, explosion, and then you see like a bird. It's like, wait a minute, is that Raven? But apparently it wasn't. Boo. I do think, because we have the Winter Maiden, we have the Fall Maiden, we have a Spring Maiden, and I think we're going to get a revelation, a revealing of who the Summer Maiden is, the last Maiden. And Raven's going to have to return at some point. We have 4 maidens, 2 of them are alive, 1 is going to be revealed, hopefully, and the other one is still hanging out doing God knows what. And being that I'm sure as hell that when Rwby broadcast her message to the world, I'm sure she got it too. So she's going to hopefully in some capacity return, whether it be in passing or there's going to be like a scene or something. Who knows? Who knows? Alright, so that is my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on what may or may not happen in Volume 9. Thank you guys for watching. I can't wait for this Saturday to watch Rwby, which unfortunately I'm probably not going to be able to watch it until maybe Monday or Tuesday of next week. I'm definitely doing reactions to it. I miss doing reactions to Rwby. It's probably one of the reasons why I'm even on this channel in the first place. So I can't wait for that. So again, thank you guys for watching. Follow me on Twitter at BlackOmen10. For those of you who are interested, I'm also doing streams on Twitch a couple of times a week usually. I just finished playing a Final Fantasy VI randomizer called Beyond Chaos. So if you guys want to check that out, you can find it at twitch.tv/Chris Reed. So until then, you guys, I will see you on the next one. See ya.